Hey guys, 7:18 p.m., June 2nd, 2020. Welcome back to the Eagle Trading. And today was a weird day, to be honest with you. So we have the target, obviously 310. We've been adjusting as we see different technicals change in the market. But as we start to climb here, the volatility is getting, and I'm not talking about the TVIX, I'm not talking about the VIX, I'm talking about the intraday swings are getting a little bit erratic. So it's a little bit concerning. I don't know if I'm thinking a little bit too early ahead of the market, but it's like we always talked about. We usually have at least some sort of shakeout, and then by 11:30, we have a trend that will start to develop. So the same thing happened yesterday. I mean, we saw the moves intraday, the shakeout in the morning. I don't know if I can get to that. And it was the same thing, right? We have this dip, and then we have this bull pennant flag. We pop out of it. We back on the VWAP, and then we kind of trend the rest of the day in like a pattern that is at least somewhat discernible. And then you start to, wedge down a little bit. And then you have another pattern that is somewhat discernible. So it's kind of like the same thing every day here. But are we seeing the final stages of, not that we're hitting certain technical levels, but now that the hedge funds are involved in the market and they're squeezing out the last bit of this move to the upside before we start to probably get into some areas of concern, both on the political front and on the earnings front, the market is becoming really like intraday volatile, and it's actually great if you're quick. Today I started within the first 20 minutes I was up about $600 on trading, and next thing you know I'm flat to down because I was behind a lot of trades that I wanted to do. And it was just once I saw formations forming, I was behind the trade. I'm not going to get into all the details, but just a lot of the stuff that I saw today was a little bit concerning. There's some really strong stocks that I can name that look like they could buck any macro trend in the market because they look super strong. And I'll go into a few of those. But I mean, work, we talked about having a nice clean breakout, and we saw the big move today. And you can see how the shakeout is, right? You got this little channel and you break straight to the downside, and then you have shape change. But not only do you pop up and fail halfway to the VWAP, but from your shape change you break horizontal support, and then you reattack it, and then you fire off and it's up to the upside, break the VWAP, and close towards the high of the day. These aren't discernible patterns that are normal. The only thing I can think of is that it's what we call a change in energy, a transition from weak hands to strong hands. Hedge funds possibly getting out of positions that looked like no-brainer picks to play momentum, and then the retail buyers are buying the dips. So I don't know how this ends, but it's usually probably not going to be a good ending. We're just kind of working through those stages because I still see pockets of strength. I still see interesting strength in the financials here, which we're going to obviously need those to break before anything kind of comes unwound here. But they're coming down. They're buying stuff that hasn't been bought and hasn't moved. As far as strong stocks, there's probably 5 that look really strong right here, and obviously there's a lot more than that. But Qualcomm had a really strong close and an interesting yearly chart on Qualcomm. And I like Qualcomm because it was in an upward pattern before the market sold off. So let's load the daily. So the only reason I'm pointing these out is because I'm not a momentum trader. In fact, I'm out of my element in this type of market, guys. Like I'm more of the guy that when we were pulling back to 279 on the SPY, I was saying, buy that dip. I'm more of a point and figure guy where if we pull back to a certain level where everybody else is panicking, that's my bread and butter. I'm thinking, okay, this is my channel buy. But when stuff's just moving and you're chasing it, It's not my type of deal. Like today, I was short Zoom. Like I'm the kind of guy that wants to go against the grain. So I'm not really suited for this type of market. But let's look at the. Sorry, I'm getting kind of ahead of myself here. But let's look at the. Let's load the year daily study on this, and then I'll give you three others that look really strong here as well. And we're gonna do no candles on this one, or no. And let me get rid of some of these Fibonacci fans. We'll just clear the whole drawing set here. But powerful move on a. I mean, we could call this a powerful enough base to give a strong breakout out of this wedge, right? You can certainly call that. Even an upwardly biased base, but good volume. They just obviously declared a dividend, but strong move out of the wedge on good volume. I like to see that. The highest volume we've seen since 8 or 9 trading days ago. You cleared this little initial bounce area, right, from the sell-off. So multiple bullish indicators on Qualcomm. For me, does it mean do I go buy that and is it a momentum trade for me? Probably not, because now you're right at the bottom of the gap from the gap down. But I put it on my list of, okay, if the market pulls back, this is a stock that's of interest to me, maybe on the channel bottom low or the pivot break. So that's one of them, and I'm going to start going through these because I think the market is going to get you're going to get some wild swings. It's going to be good for day traders, but not. It's going to give buy and hold guys a heart attack here really soon. GRVY. This is a really interesting stock too. And we'll do the load the study set with the Eagle Daily. We have a break above the 200 exponential a while ago. Just strong moves, right? I like this company too. They have good earnings. So if we step back and look at a 2-year, you can see there's more room to run. We probably get at least up to the 59.40 area on the pivot break, or maybe higher, because once again, this had a nice chart before we started pulling back mid last year, and then now we've recovered and moved to the upper end. Your stop on a close would be like $45.60, $46 for a buy and hold type of person. But this is a tough market. HP also looks strong here, and this is not Hewlett Packard. This is HelmericPayneInc.com or Inc.com. Another one that we've seen these patterns, right? Breaking out of these little cup and handles. Highest close in a while. Decent volume. Nothing huge, but clearing above a big reversion candle on a heavy dump sell. So once again, upward bias channel, breaking the wedge. So this one looks a little bit interesting for tomorrow. HP. You don't have to really chase that one because it hasn't really made a heck of a move from the lows. In fact, stop would be like 20.20 on a close. So that one's interesting. XOMA. This is a stock I followed for a while, a long time ago. This also looks kind of interesting. Kind of erratic, so I'm not sure I want to put this one on my list, but big volume move and pretty sharp move out of this wedge, right? Out of that wedge, we can call this kind of a trading channel breakdown, force, boom, pop to the upside. But is it just going to be one of these little head fake moves? So this one I'd put, out of a 1 to 10, I give this one maybe a 7. So be careful. But once again, buying the weakness on this one looks interesting, right? Not chase, because we're probably going to run to this channel. But if you buy weakness, then you get to set up here and we push through. And then you got blue skies above for a little while. So that one's interesting. XOMA. IMOS looks interesting too. Chipmos Technologies, powerful move. This one looks better. I give this one maybe an 8.5 out of 1 to 10. Look at that volume on that one. Earnings were good recently. Breaking once again another kind of a wedge pattern in here. Here's your 200-day exponential. So you get the idea, right? Here's a 200, a couple little fake breakdowns, fake breakdown, tail, back test, boom, fire it up to the upside. And it feels like, I'm coming late on some of these, so I'm going to have to start scanning these and then looking for this move right here, like yesterday, we should have been in this right for the follow through today. And I apologize. I'll get better at doing that. I'm just a little bit all over the place today. So let's go through our stuff. UCO, we've been bullish on oil, and we had a nice move today, a continuation move that we've seen on oil to the upside once we broke through some resistance on light sweet crude. So powerful move. You could have bought it, in weakness at the open, 25.20, and we're at 27 in after hours. Oil continues to impress to the upside. We'll have to figure out some type of an inverse play reversal soon on oil. Someone asked about, what was that stock the other day that we were talking about? I believe it was NNDM, and I said, watch out for a big volume move. If we get one intraday, put yourself on alert. And I traded some of this today. It's just started rocketing, and they got some news on a government contract, I believe, and man, you moved from like 230 up to 330 intraday. I did a little chase on this one, which I don't normally do. I played the momentum, and I just sold it into the momentum. I bought this little dip in here and just sold that big spike a little early, but that's okay. I think I got out at 321, and it went to 330 something. It is what it is. Zoom was the after hours one that we said be careful on this one. Big pop up to 223, 224 on the earnings, which were pretty impressive. The earnings. This stock just scares me though. To buy and own this without trading intraday, it's a trade stock. And all you need is someone to come out and say that they're going to replicate this platform and do this, that, Amazon. I know Microsoft already has Microsoft Teams. But something definitive, something that could scare the hell out of this company, and this thing drops dramatically, and it could drop 20% a day. But the earnings were impressive, no doubt about it. Can they eventually fit into this multiple, which probably is ridiculous. Now they're probably trading at 25, 30 times sales, and the PE was well over 1,000. Maybe now it's, I don't know, 200-300 or whatever after earnings. I don't know. This one's definitely just a trader stock, so I'd be careful with that one. Absolutely be careful with that one. We're still looking, like I said, for 310 on SPY, but today was a little bit funky. EVFM, which we sold a lot of this into the announcement. I bought some in after hours looking for a little scalp. If they want to take my 700 shares that I bought at 711 or at 411, no problem. I'll sell it to them. If not, I'll hold this for tomorrow and see where we can go. But I did buy some down in here after the announcement. They came back and retested my little area, and then we're kind of, we're grinding a little bit higher or whatever. But it's not a big position. We took a nibble after we've already been out of this thing. I mean, we got out of this thing in the 8s and then some in the 6s and 7s. So buying it back at half price is... We knew they were going to announce a secondary. We talked about it over and over. We probably should have been short the stock, and then once they announced the secondary, cover it. But we knew it was coming. I was wondering what was taking them so long. So, Evofem Biosciences with their FDA approval on their on the cream they have for birth control cream. My head's all over the place. ABio, it looks kind of interesting here, and this should be on radar for tomorrow. ABIO, because remember this one was like $20-something a share, right? And we saw the same thing with the one we just looked at. And let's look at the 1 month, and I'll show you if we can see it. So big move on this one, obviously. I have some stuff up here, but it's kind of flatlining, right? And if we look at it maybe on an hourly chart, and we look at a 10-day hourly chart, you can kind of see how this had this monster move up to 22, right? And it's kind of bouncing ball down lower and lower, but now it's starting to flatten out, right? Now it's starting to flatten out. So I took a little position in after hours, nothing crazy, but sometimes you get a little bit of a return, right? A little bit of a spike. We talked about these. Once these go out of favor, then they become more interesting if you miss the big move to the upside. So we'll see how that acts tomorrow. Maybe a red to green tomorrow. But yeah, the market is not acting. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, obviously, I I trade what's in front of me and the market looks higher. There's no doubt about it. We look higher, but some of the intraday moves are a little bit concerning for sure. That's all I can say. Is sometimes it's just a gut feeling. I don't know what to tell you. Once the hedge funds start getting into these things, they will find ways to manipulate it. You know, whether they're in Zoom and they say this is the greatest earnings call ever, and they're feeding you paper and aftermarket. It's hard to say, but those look interesting. Trying to think of what else we traded today. I think that's it for now, guys. But if I come with anything more, I will certainly announce it. But let's be cautious in this market. You know, we talked about Tesla price target 890s, and you know we got that today and then some. And then in aftermarket, you're just kind of rolling back a little bit. Got a little bit ahead of itself. The intraday on Tesla was a little bit sketchy too. It's another one of those where, now let's look at the intraday. It's another one that is, I don't know, today was weird. Like right off the bat, it was immediately a lot of the speculative stocks sold off right in the morning. The spec stocks were like, whether they gapped up or not, they were coming down hard. And this was no exception. But once we got some shape change in Tesla, I kind of like Tesla here. We took a little nibble for a ride, but today wasn't my best trading day. I mean, I have some days where I'm just off, and my timing was off today. But look at these moves, you know. You go down, then you rock it, and you run back up. That was our little support trend line from further back. And then you just roll back down again. I don't like these wild moves, no conviction, directionless. Just a little bit concerning, right? So let's keep a short leash on our stocks in this market for now. Once we start getting into the 309, 3010 area, we can look at maybe scaling into some TVIX or something in increments, because you don't really want to hold those leverage ETFs for too long. Let's close up with a couple little fun penny stocks here. NOVN, I have some shares. We call these the trash to cash. Not really sure what's making it move in after hours, but it has a nice long baseline. I mean, these are penny stocks, but who knows? I mean, some of these can grow, and we do have a little bit of a break. We've seen it before, above the 50. Let's see if there's follow through. Same thing with, and I hate to talk about these because they're so speculative, guys. XELA, I don't know, showing a little bit of life coming up from the dead, and ZOM. Not to be mistaken with Zoom. I don't know. Just keep an eye on these guys. They're kind of floundering around, big gap downs, but they've had prior history of being quite a bit higher. Not recommending, but I think in after hours this one's above the recent channel that we saw. Like I said, pure penny speculation. I just like to bring them, you know. I just like to bring them to your attention just for fun, you know. This is your monopoly money. Nothing crazy here, you know. But when you see these long baselines, I'm like, all right. I feel a little more comfortable buying, you know, a couple thousand with a little bit of a stop or a mental stop. But like I said, nothing crazy. Just keep an eye on them. And we'll go from there, guys. Tomorrow morning, we'll probably be on Twitch in the morning on my son's show. But all I can say is a little bit of a weird, uneasy gut feeling on the market. And I will be very particular about what I'm buying, and I'll be quick to sell on the trigger. I did not like the action today and stuff like JNUG. I'll have to check the GDXJ chart, but multiple failures on attempts to bounce. Not really sure what's going on with gold, but we will certainly take a look at that. Nothing but selling, channel line. Even when we started to make shape change and broke, we did a little trade, but it could not hold it, and it went back down and tripled, double bottom, and then made a lower low and closed at close to the lowest of the day. So very bearish intraday action on the leverage miners. And I did sell some of our GBTC today, and I only did it because it had a monster gap up. I don't even know why it gapped up, but once it couldn't hold this, it triggered me out. We only had 400 shares left anyway, so we had a nice trade in this from much lower prices. and we got out at this channel break here. We said, hey, look, this move's pretty huge, but if we start to change shape in this big pattern here that we're seeing, we're out. And it triggered a stop, and it is what it is. I can't fall in love with these things. Can it regroup here from a lower level for Bitcoin? It certainly could, but it seemed like there was a big seller out there. This has been very volatile. Fake false breakout, right? Clearing above the last three areas, and they sold into it. So the pros know. We'll have to see how this pans out. Could be a changing of the guards, not a big deal. It was nice to see it bounce from the bottom, and we kind of channeled, at least if you just look at it from a linear perspective. And we could look at that too. Sometimes it's not a bad idea just to look at stuff as a line, right? Because it takes out all the noise. So if you just looked at this as a line, you didn't realize all the other noise, right? The big drop from up there. We can remove that. And you just look at it as a line and you say, okay, that's not too bad, right? It's not too bad because it takes out all the noise. So you just basically you're changing your charts to linear charts instead of candles. Nothing crazy here. It just takes out the noise. So was it like a horrible thing? No, obviously somebody wanted out and a big sell, and it took out a lot of stops from a nice move to the upside. But when you remove all the noise, it really isn't horrible. You know, it's actually up for the day, right? 13 cents. So we'll take it like it is. You can use these on a lot of different stocks just to kind of figure out, you know, removing all the crazy wild intraday swings. Sometimes we do want to go to linear charts and just look at line charts to kind of give us a different picture on what the market's doing, you know. You can do that with anything too, but I'm not going to go into all that. But interesting day today. The Chinese stocks were strong. I know I keep saying in closing. Even BABA, we'll keep it on these lines while we're at it. Look, all right, takes out all the noise. Channel line pop from 199.58 up to 214. Not too shabby, right? Not too shabby. So a crazy, wild market. And then there you can see it a lot clearer. Let's remove that. And let's get that out of there. Which one is that? I don't know. But anyway, you get the idea, guys. Sometimes it's a cleaner look, you know. You can see the touch here, touch there, and then touch there. So interesting movement. Maybe we do get a channel move higher because it seems like the Chinese stocks are in favor right now, and we saw that with the other ones as well that we talked about. So maybe we look there, you know, we kind of need to play outside the common stocks right now that are in focus and kind of play the perimeter with some unknowns. Last thing, I forgot to check NAIL. We're doing this in real time. I have no idea what it did today. Been kind of watching it. I want further weakness in NIL. This is the Home Builders ETF. So let's close it out on that, guys. We'll be back on tomorrow morning. Weird day today. I actually had trouble trading, not my style today. And let's look at one last thing. I keep saying one last thing, but let's check the 1 year on SPY. We got that up, and then we'll check our very famous, let's add a study on market strength, and we will look at our all-important McClellan oscillator, which has been guiding us nicely. We already had it up there, and I just wasted our time doing that. Okay, so let's zoom in, and this is definitely in closing, and I'll bring this back into focus here. We talked about this is really important on the McClellan oscillator, on keeping us sane and keeping our shorts on or off. Keep our shorts off for now. So interesting move, right? Replicate channel. Very interesting, right? So now we did pull back, and we said if this continues, then we're going to be a little bit concerned that the market has hit a high at the 307 area. We did not get that. In fact, we are back testing this right now. So we talked about Monday and Tuesday being important directional moves in the market. And if they were strong, it looks like the market's going to continue to go higher. But we do have a changing of the guards from the weak hands to the, I don't know if it's the retail guys that are buying. I don't know what's going on, but to be honest with you, we're getting some rotation. A little bit of it is distribution, but this looks interesting. So we want to keep an eye on that. Are we going to simply bounce back down again and then correct from here? Or is this going to start to push higher and get us into that 310, 311 area? Interesting, right? Good stuff. We'll talk to you guys soon.